everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome to the new Face the Puck podcast, where we talk about the latest news and drama going on in the hockey world. My name is Juliana, and I share the spotlight with my boyfriend Preston. Because this is our first episode, our content will not be extreme, but stick around and allow us to set the stage on what to expect. In this episode, we will introduce ourselves, talk about round 2 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and predict what will happen in round 3 based on analytical insights. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to Face the Puck podcast. Again, my name is Juliana and I am here with my boyfriend Preston. Preston, please say hello.
How are we doing?
So today we are just doing intros, basically talking about what happened last round in the Stanley Cup playoffs, as well as give some predictions as to what's going to happen in the third round. But I'll start by talking about myself and kind of my hockey background. So again, my name is Juliana. I'm from Connecticut. I'm 20 years old. I've been watching hockey since 2013, specifically the playoffs. I'm a Blackhawks fan, and I know it sounds a little weird, but I am a Blackhawks fan from Connecticut. And that is because I had a buddy out in Chicago who I met through like one of my gaming websites that I used to go on, specifically Animal Jam. And he was one night just watching hockey, watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I was super bored. I didn't have anything to do. And I asked him like, hey, what are you doing? And he said, I'm watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I said, what channel? I'll watch. I've never watched hockey at that point. In fact, I thought it was stupid. Don't ask why. I just thought it was the stupidest sport in the world at that point.
Hurts.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from, but I just despise it. So I watched it. And as I'm watching it, this was, oh God, what game was it? I can't even remember. It was the Blackhawks. They were winning. I remember that. And I was like, this is really fun to watch. And I really just kind of grew an attachment to the team and to the sport overall. And I'm like, wow, why the heck did I think this sport was so stupid? Like, and I was just like, I don't know. My mind was just blown. And so I followed watching, I followed the Blackhawks after watching that, and they won. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to watch it again. And during off season, of course, it was boring, but then I went back and started watching back in 2014. I watched your guys, the Bruins, lose.
Shut up. I want to talk about it.
So the funny thing is, like I said, I hated hockey in the past. I've never played it. But because I'm so into it now, I got skates a couple of years ago.
Got you rollerblades earlier.
Yeah, I got my rollerblades a couple months ago. Thing is, they're the inline, so they don't have any brakes on them.
No
so
brakes. She can't skate.
I can't skate. I'm a little scared of going alone. So honestly, I haven't done it since I was back at school, which, by the way, speaking of school, we go to Quinnipiac. So big hockey school, if you don't know. And one of the players on the team, his father is Rod Brindamore. And if you don't know who that is, then you're stupid, because he just won an award. You don't watch
hockey.
You don't watch hockey, and he just won an award not that long ago. So yeah, he's really cool. He'll come to the arena and kind of just talk to the players. Going back to a little bit about me, let's talk about Face the Puck. So I started Face the Puck back in 2017, I believe. And it was basically just, standard news on social media, talking about hockey news, the latest trades going on, the signings, the extensions, whatever was going on, I posted it. And I had a really good following for a really long time. And it was great. I loved doing it. And then when I got to school, especially during COVID, it was just like really hard trying to keep up with everything. Professors were overdoing the work. It was just ridiculous. So I had to stop it. And I also did want to do a complete rebrand of the company. So I figured this is the perfect time to just kind of relax and kind of restart. And so I did the whole rebrand. I asked my buddy to make the graphics. Shout out to Alex for doing the logo and the rest of that package that he did for me. That was great. And the whole reason why I wanted to do this was because when I started doing school, I was originally in media studies and I wanted to be a broadcaster. So I figured this would be the best thing to start practicing, working with the latest news, keeping up with the latest trends. Although I found it to be more of a hobby. So what I changed it to now, it's definitely more of an analytical approach. So if you notice in my newest posts, I do predictions and I do an analysis of the game. And that's what we're going to kind of bring into these podcasts is show the more analytical side of the sport, of the games that are going on. And we're going to definitely mention some of the save percentages that the goalies are getting, the top players to watch in the playoffs and also in the regular season for next season. You're going to see a lot of analytics and definitely more in-depth stuff that you've seen anywhere else. So from that, I will hand over the microphone to Preston. Go ahead, talk about yourself.
All right, how are we doing, everyone? I'm Preston. As you could tell from earlier what she said, I'm a Bruins fan and she's a Blackhawks fan. It's very odd dynamic, I know. Hate it a little bit, but we're all right. Definitely biggest fan of Pastrnak. Love that guy. I think he's an absolute beauty. I'm really glad to be here. I've always wanted to do a podcast like this, and when she suggested, I immediately hopped on board. I love talking about hockey, anything hockey related. It's pretty much been my entire life for the last around, I don't even know, 10, 12 years. It's been pretty much just all hockey, going to a rink, traveling, going to games in different states, all that stuff. And so,
what position do you play?
I was getting there. Hold on. All right, I am attendee, which is rare. You won't see many goalies on podcasts or whatnot. I don't know why. I mean, we are the weird ones. I will say that we are definitely a little odd.
And they're known to not get the girls.
Oh, come on. Hey, I got you, didn't I?
You did.
Exactly. There, I'm winning already. Yeah. So you will get a little bit of the mind of a goaltender and what goes on in their heads, especially during playoffs. I went to nationals for my elite tier 1 hockey team in 2018 in California. So I have a little experience with high level, really good hockey from across the country, but not too much to the point where, I have that much room to talk. So you will get a little bit of insights into what can go on in a goalie's head, as well as just the mentality of hockey players in general, because I am the only hockey experienced one here. So I'm really excited to be here again.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk a little bit about round 2 and just kind of look in a little deeper as to what happened and just kind of get an idea of what it looked like as far as the numbers. So let's just talk about the Bruins starting off. Your team, Preston. Do you have any? Any notes?
I'm fully taking this over. All right. So we're gonna go real quick, game by game. Mm-hmm. First off, great series. Congratulations to the Islanders. I was obviously very salty about that series, but I will be honest, they completely outplayed us from game 3 forward. So did I feel we should have won that series? Absolutely. Did injuries help? No, not at all. It didn't help.
Now you say really quick, sorry. You say really quick that that you said that they started outplaying you. Yes, they outplayed you, but at the same time, when you look at the numbers, um, the Bruins in game 1 had 40 shots on goal compared to 22. Then you said from game 3 on, I can see the game 4, but I don't, and game 6 kind of, but honestly, like you look at game 3, the Bruins had 41 shots on goal and the Islanders had 29. What do you think happened there? As far as, I mean, it was a very close game. It was 2-1 in that game 3. There were 41 shots on goal for the Bruins, 29 shots for the Islanders.
So, I mean, if we look starting from game 1, so game 1 ends up being 5-2 Bruins. We were at that game. It was absolutely electric. First time getting the home fans back in Boston. You obviously know they wanted to get that win for the fans. That wasn't even really much for the series. That was a welcome back. We're going to give you a show. So I think they went on and did that perfectly. And that's pretty much the reason they won that game. In game 2, much closer. The Islanders adjusted. The Bruins are more adjusted at home. So that ends up being 4-3 Islanders in OT. As soon as it goes into OT, that second game in Boston with the fans back, we know it's going to be a close series, or it's going to be a heavily battled series. And so in game 3, here's my thing. So that OT goal probably shouldn't have gone in. It was a very smart shot by Marchand to get that up and over Varlamov. But I think we had no idea how to figure out Varlamov. There is no chance.
Got a little
whatsoever.
lucky. Yeah, I agree. I think that was it was a very skilled goal, but at the same time, Varlamov is in my opinion a bit stronger than Rask when it comes to those kinds of saves. So I give him a lot of credit in this season, in the series. I mean, it has been insane watching that guy just in between the pipes. It's crazy.
Yeah, he has been really good this playoffs. It's very annoying. It gives me Frederick Anderson vibes from, I believe, what was it, the 2018 playoffs? Some 2017, 2018 playoffs where we just couldn't figure him out. Had no chance, couldn't figure him out. But again, like I said, the injuries didn't help us out. Having Kevin Miller out in the first round with the Capitals, and then also losing Brandon Carlo in this series. The biggest issue once you lose those two guys is your defense isn't going to be there. You have very little physicality, and the Islanders just out battled. They had the physicality. They could roll those 4 lines, keep it going, keep battling, wear down Charlie McAvoy, wear down the rest of our defensive core, and our forwards aren't going to be able to pick it back up. There's just no chance. So yeah, it was a grind of a series. The Islanders just outlasted us. The injuries didn't help, but yeah, that's really all it is.
Not only that, I mean, you look at game 3 and you look at the shots on goal per period. I brought up before the total, which was 41 for the Bruins. You look at that third period in game 3, they had 21 shots on goal, the Bruins did, compared to 9 by the Islanders. That is just insane. That just shows you how strong Varlamov was that game. It was just insane. It was that guy. I mean, it's crazy. In looking overall, Varlamov during the whole second round had a 93.5% save percentage, or 0.935 if you want to put it into the metrics that the NHL uses. But yeah, over 93% is insane. That is the highest out of all of the other goalies in the round 2. Now let's kind of move into the Canes and Lightning. Go ahead if you have any words.
I guess the only thing I'd say off the rip is I was rooting for the Hurricanes in this series. I feel that they're a very solid young team. I think Brind'Amour is sending them completely in the right direction, and they're going to have very, very good success in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know when that experience is going to kick in for them. They are getting a lot of pieces like Vincent Trocheck, who are adding a little more of that depth and experience and veteranship to that locker room and that lineup. But I don't know. They just have to get all the pieces together, because Svechnikov, once he's very comfortable with where he is and his scoring, I think he'll be a lethal threat in the NHL.
Oh, absolutely. And I even brought up that stat. I mean, he had 5 goals or 5 points, excuse me, that whole round with the against the Lightning. So I thought that was really impressive. That was the highest, I believe, out of the rest of the team, which was very impressive. Overall, the Canes against the Lightning, the Lightning are a tough team. They have a lot of veterans, especially playoff. I mean, they're the defending cup champions. They have to keep that cup, and they just have so much more depth. While the Canes, they do have depth, but they're a much younger team. For the most part, they do have some veterans, but I think overall they're a lot younger than the Lightning.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just like they did get completely just washed by Tampa, which is, I feel bad for this team almost, because the last 2 seasons, the same thing happened when they faced the Bruins. They got washed. It was, I think, 2 back-to-back, or was it back-to-back series sweeps? I'm not even sure. I'd have to look at the statistic.
Even remember.
But yeah, or it may have been like a 4-0, then a 4-1 sweep. Like, I just feel bad for this team because they have a lot of pieces that can take them far. I think their goaltending needs to be something that's changed. Mrazek is good. I just don't think he's a full-fledged starter. Same with Nedeljkovic at this point in time. Because Nedeljkovic did show in this series that he does have some light in him, and he does have some good play. Same thing with the first round, but he can't sustain that as of right now.
Right. Going back to the Bruins, I totally forgot to ask my question. So do you think it's safe to say that the Bruins do not need their former captain, Mr. Chara, in the defensive line? Were they better off without him, or has Hall kind of brought more of an offensive look to the team?
I don't think it's Hall bringing an offensive look to the team. I think it's more of, we need more physicality on the defense, and just like, we need more of that Bruins play style, which is everyone has known, which is, we're just going to beat the living shit out of you for 3 periods, and that's it. And that's what Chara would bring every single game. He may have been just a big slow guy towards the end of his Bruins career.
But he was like a little bit, he was more of an enforcer.
Yeah, exactly. He was there to lay out bodies for the boys and just get everyone into that mentality of, we're just going to kick the shit out of them. Right. That's it.
Right. Okay. So that was my question for the, well, actually, let's talk a little bit more about Hall. Hall came into the Bruins with some pretty impressive stats. However, this past the second round, it was not that impressive. It was only 1 goal and 1 assist for him in 6 games. What do you have to say about that?
So I loved how Hall played at the end of the regular season. I thought he still does fit into this group very well. I think him and Krejci are a very lethal combination once they start getting more chemistry flowing and understanding their play styles. The only thing I would say was the biggest factor in this was his playoff inexperience. I believe, I'm not sure if I don't think he got to any playoffs with the Oilers when he was on that team. And then where did he go? So he went to the Oilers. New
Jersey.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Oilers,
Arizona,
New Jersey, Arizona, Buffalo, and then now he's on the Bruins.
Right.
So those are 4 teams with very little playoff experience themselves.
Right.
And I'm not sure if they even.
Right. He made it to the Devils. I mean, he only played 5 games with the Devils in 2018 playoffs. And in Arizona, he played 9 games, but I mean, he got 6 points from there, which is pretty good out of that. But he just had no real chemistry, like, other than that, you know?
Yeah. It's that playoff inexperience. Like anyone can really perform well in the first round because you don't have that much pressure on you as a scorer to perform as well, like as you do in the later third and fourth round. Because those are obviously the more important rounds. And those are the ones that people get on you a lot more because there's less games being played. There's a hell of a lot more spotlight on you. So I think he was just comfortable in the first round with his team and with his play style that he was able to notch a couple points. As soon as it got to that second round, it was just the Bruins in general not being ready for the physicality of the Islanders. But himself, it just seemed he got shakier as the series went on.
It's crazy that the Bruins were like in a way unprepared for the Islanders just because they played against the Capitals. Like the Capitals, I mean, they're a very strong team. They've always have been. I have always thought they have been just such a strong, dominant team, just like the Lightning. None of that has ever changed since I started watching hockey. I feel like they've always been some of the stronger teams in the league. So to find that, like, I mean, the Islanders, they've had very shaky years in the past as far as, playoff experience and just overall like stats and like they've been shaky. Some years they make it to the playoffs, some years they don't. And I think they finally kind of found that balance with Barzal and Varlamov, who have carried this team like absolutely. Like I think they've done an amazing job in this series, especially. Like it's crazy. I mean, the Islanders, the guys who I put up alone, which were, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who I noted in the second round had 33 points altogether. And I just like, that's crazy. The Bruins had the guys who I picked 37. So I think the Bruins were the ones. Yeah, they dominated overall as far as scoring. But the Islanders they're a weird team to me. I don't know. I can't get my finger on it, but they're definitely one of those, like, I don't want to say I don't know if bipolar is the right word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. It is kind of like, it's a team that you look at them on paper and you're like, there's nothing here that's really special other than Matthew Barzal. Like they do have experience in Kyle Palmieri, Josh Bailey, and Jordan Eberle.
Right.
Those are the 3 biggest guys I have for experience. And I think that does them really well. I think just the way the team is built and the way it runs through Barry Trotz's system, it is just perfect.
I agree. And so going back to the Canes and Lightning now, let's go back to them. We were saying that the Hurricanes had kind of struggled a bit as far as scoring. And I mean, who can compete with Vasilevsky? I mean, that guy's freaking amazing at his job.
Absolute stud.
He's amazing. Like seriously, he was very impressive round 2 against the Canes. And like we talked about before, the Canes are a very young team. So with the veterans on the Lightning and the more inexperienced players on the Canes, I think it definitely impacted that. But at the same time, the Canes have been in the playoffs. So what has it been, like the past 2 or 3 years? Has it, or just 2? Can't remember now.
The Canes 3.
That's what I thought. Okay. So yeah, so they have the experience. It's just these newer guys, these younger guys coming in. There's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. And I think in the next couple of years, I think they can definitely advance more and more into the playoffs as they grow. I think they're one of those teams.
Agree. But also, how are you supposed to compete with Nikita Kucherov?
Exactly.
Like same
all
thing
those veterans, Stamkos, Hedman. Like,
how do you compete with a guy who's averaging over a point a night?
Right.
It's very difficult to do, because if you can't shut down him or his line, then you're just digging yourself your own grave. It
I mean,
always comes down in these playoffs to who can shut down the opposing team's best line first, and whoever
absolutely.
can figure out their game style first.
Exactly. And the thing is, I mean, Kucherov, you look at the numbers, he had 7 goals total. That I believe that was the high again for the Lightning. 7 goals in 6 games. So that's pretty impressive. He only had, or sorry, not goals, points. He had 7 points total, and he only had one night out of the 6 games where he did not score anything. And I think that is pretty impressive. Same thing with Braden Point. He had 6 points total by the end of the 6 games that they played. And the only night again where he did not get anything was the second game, that he did not get any points out of that. It's I feel like most of these guys, they're getting at least 1 point a game. It's crazy. Like these top guys like Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, Nikita Kucherov, Alex Killorn. It's like, seriously, they're really good players. And I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think the Lightning have a really, really good shot of potentially winning another year. They're a very strong team right now.
I definitely agree with that as well. And if you even look at their power play numbers in that series, Carolina, first game 1 for 5, second game 0 for 2, third game 1 for 2, fourth game 0 for 2. Like, they scored 2 power play goals out of the however many. I'm not going to do that quick math.
They had a 39%.
No, they had a 14. The Hurricanes had a 14% chance of scoring on the power play.
Right.
The Tampa Bay Lightning had nearly a 40.
Exactly.
And they're going, almost half of their power plays are scored each game. 1 for 3, right. 0 for 2, granted. 2 for 3, 3 for 6, and 1 for 2.
Exactly.
With scoring like that, putting yourself behind in any fashion is just a guaranteed goal. Especially against these Lightning.
That also shows you just how physical the Canes were during that series. Like, with the amount of power plays that the Lightning got, how many chances they got. I mean, I guess you can say the Lightning were pretty physical in game 1, but when you look at the rest, I mean, the Canes are drawing more penalties than anything. And I think that's another thing that hurt them. They could not keep up with with dealing with the power plays that the Lightning were getting. They could not keep up with that.
Yeah, and they couldn't get any power play opportunities going on theirs themselves. If you get 5 chances on the power play in your first game and you're only scoring 1, something immediately needs to be changed, whether that's who's on the power play personnel or how your power play is run. It doesn't matter. Something needs to change, because those are key opportunities to scoring on the Lightning.
Right. And speaking of focusing on a little more of the power plays, let's move into the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Avalanche were on a roll for a while, and then all of a sudden, just boom, a freaking truck rammed into them, and the Knights ended up winning the series. What are your thoughts on that?
This was just wow. I don't even like, from the first, I watched the first game and I was just stunned. I know Vegas.
Do you think?
Hold on.
Yeah,
I know Vegas was coming off of a game like a night before the night before that. Right. So they had very little rest, and Colorado had a decent amount of rest going into it. Right. I know the classic debate, rest over rust. There was definitely some good rest going on the Colorado side to be ending up smacking Vegas 7-1 the first game.
Right. And not only that, it's just like Leonard did not have a good experience that night, that first game. He had a .811 save percentage that night, which isn't terrible, but it was not great either. It was really just an awful game to watch. That was just a train wreck for them. And then once Fleury came in, it was a little better. is a little better. There is a little bit of improvement. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of started winning out of nowhere, which was very impressive. And that win started in game 3, where they just kind of went on this roll with their game 3 score was 3-2. And then game 4 was 5-1. And then game 5 was 3-2. It was just like they came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a very impressive match or series by the Knights just to make that comeback.
And game 2 was definitely a wake-up call as well. You could see in game 1, Colorado had 37 shots. In game 2, they reduced that to 25. Right. They took nearly a third of their shots away, while also increasing their shots by nearly half. They went from 25 to 41 in the second game. That was instantly just a wake-up call for them. They may not have taken game 2, but they definitely woke up and said, we're here to play now. Right. Thank you for whooping us in that first game. We're here to play now.
Exactly. And they need that wake-up call. Sometimes the teams just kind of need a little tap on the shoulder. Like, hey, yeah, are you still there? Like, kind of like when you're watching Hulu or something, Netflix, and you fall asleep, and not that long later, they're like, hey, are you still alive? Like, are you still watching this? Yeah, sometimes you need a little wake-up call like that. And I definitely think after game 1 and game 2, I really think that the Knights kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, we're still playing. Like, mm-hmm. we need to keep playing like it's the playoffs, not like it's regular season where we can get, some losses a couple nights, Yeah. So I think that was definitely a good way to continue the series.
And I think while Vegas may have gotten a big wake-up call from the first game, I remember who was it? Jared Bednar? I think Bednar. The Avalanche head coach, after game 4, there's a video clip of him just going after his guys, calling them out in the media, telling them they need to be better. And that, I like that as a coach. I like that choice just to say, hey, I'm willing to go out there in the media and say, you guys were shit. Right. I'm willing to do that in order for you guys to take it to that next level and beat this team. It didn't obviously work out the way he expected it to. Right. But I think it was definitely a smart choice, as the next game they lost only 3-2 in OT. So they had a very good chance of winning that game. And then game 6, 6-3, they were gassed at that point. They didn't have a chance. Right. And then we could talk about the very poor performance by the Jets. Oh my God. This was something different.
The Montreal Canadiens. They just came off of a very roller coaster series in the first round with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then they meet with the Jets. Who did the Jets sweep again? Was it Edmonton?
No, Edmonton. No. They did play Edmonton, but it was 5 games.
Right. Oh, that's right. I thought they swept. Very close to sweeping though. So they had a ton of rest, and like you said before, they were they kind of developed some rust after all that rest, and I think they definitely were thinking, oh, this is gonna be a breeze against the Montreal Canadiens. They were just so unprepared, and when you look at the numbers, they had some power play opportunities to score, and guess what? 0%. They got no power play goals, and they had a total of 5, 6, 7, 8. They had 8 power plays, got 0 in. They struggled so hard against Mr. Carey Price. That was just an impressive performance by him. All of those games. What do you have to say?
Jesus, it was just this series. Shout out to Montreal, first off. No one expects them to be here. No one expects them to be in the semifinals, playing their hearts out against the Knights right now. But here they are. Here is Carey Price, the goalie, the best goalie in the world, who everyone thought was washed. His career was going down the drain. He was going to get traded. everything.
Yeah.
Here he is proving everyone wrong. I just remember as before the playoffs started, there was a video of him in practice getting pissed off at himself and snapping a stick over the crossbar.
Yeah.
I think that was the moment. I think that was the moment where he woke himself up and said, it's time to go. This is my playoffs. And you have to look at the numbers just straight up right now for Carey Price. In that series, he has a total of a 9.935 save percentage, which is 93%, versus Hellebuck's, which was 90%. The best save percentage in this series or in the second round for any goaltender was Varlamov.
Oh, well, yeah, Varlamov.
With,
that's
with
right.
the
93.5.
Right. Price had a 93.45.
Mm-hmm.
There's no difference. That save
No.
percentage is no difference. That is the difference between maybe a single shot.
Right.
But just you have to look at this Jets team, who is definitely deeper, more experienced, and just a better overall team than these Montreal Canadiens currently are. They're a young team, but holy shit, did they come out kicking. They said, this is our series. I want to look at games 2 and 3 for Pricer. He gets a shutout in game 2. In game 3, he has a .963 save percentage.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
How many shots did he face that game? I'm just real quick.
That game.
He only faced 27, but still.
Yeah, that's right. Other way around. Yeah. I mean, it was just mind-boggling watching just this 33-year-old goaltender who's getting frustrated at himself before there's a lot of stuff going on. And all of a sudden he just flourishes in the second round. It's just like insane to just watch him just develop like that so quickly. Just like, boom, you know what? Let's go. Let's have a real series. Now, my question is, say the Canadiens end up playing the Islanders. What do you think would happen with Varlamov and Price?
Gee, that's hard to speculate early.
Yeah.
I'd say though that I feel like they're both experienced as well. So
I know.
In terms of playoff experience, though, I think Price has more of it in terms of going a little deeper, because I think this is the farthest Price and the Canadiens have gotten since having Price in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Varlamov has he hasn't gotten to a cup final. I know that. I'm not sure exactly how far he's gotten. I'm going to assume the second round, just like Price. So this is the farthest both of them have gotten in the playoffs, if that does end up happening.
Yeah. So
you have to go, for me, the best goalie in the world. Playing how he is now, he's making saves that you look at and you're like, there's no fucking way anyone makes that save normally. Yeah. Even me as a goaltender, you're thinking, how does a guy think at that level just to get anything on that puck? It's absurd. There's nothing you can say when he's playing at that level, playing out of his mind like that. There's absolutely nothing you can say.
And not only that, I mean, I'll say the Islanders, they do have some youngsters. And even I think that the thing with the Canadiens, though, they have a good balance between younger players and veterans. And so, for example, I mean, at least in this series, you see Cole Caulfield come out and just, I mean, he had three points that round. But honestly, for a youngster like him, that's pretty damn good. And he only had 4 games to play and he had 3 points. That's pretty good. You look at Tyler Toffoli, he had 5 points in 4 games. So once you hit over how many games you're playing, that should tell you something. That's pretty damn good in my book.
Mm-hmm. And when you have on the Jets side, your only 2 scorers being Adam Lowry and Kyle Connor.
Oh, those are just the top guys. I don't know if those are both just the guys who are just scoring, but those are the 2 that I found to be consistent. But yeah, seriously, those are the guys who I really found, at least looking at the each game, really making some kind of impact for the team. But I mean, still, go ahead.
Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, Adam Lowry scored in the first game. Derek Forbit, Kyle Connor. So already you have two guys who aren't scorers getting a goal for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, I guess. You like to see other guys scoring in your lineup. But in these playoffs, in playoffs in general, you need your top guys scoring for you. You just can't. You can't have it. And in the third game, because obviously they got shut out in the second, Adam Lowry is your only scorer. Same thing. Adam Lowry isn't known as your top scorer or just a scorer in general.
Oh.
So if you're having this in your first and second game, and even in the third game, Logan Stanley scores both of your goals.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, right. You don't hear these guys. I mean, they had more of their bigger players out in the first round, and then just the second round, it was just like I said, a train wreck. Like seriously, that team just had nothing. They had nothing ahead of they just did not see the Canadians and especially Carey Price coming for them.
And you can see that in the shots as well. In the first game, it's very even. Before they lose Mark Scheifele, it's very even. 33 shots for Winnipeg, or 30 shots for Winnipeg, 33 for Montreal.
Yeah.
30 shots in the second game for Winnipeg, 24 for Montreal. So it looks like after that first game, after Scheifele was suspended, they tried to get a little momentum going, and they were feeling good. Montreal said no. No, that's not happening. So in the third game, Winnipeg has 27, Montreal has 33. And then you're looking at this yourself, but just the sheer difference in shots from the third to the fourth game is absurd.
Yeah, you look
16 for the Winnipeg Jets in 42.
Yeah, and if you break it down into each period, you look at game 3. In the first period of game 3, the Canadians already had 10 shots on goal compared to 7, and they added 15 more shots in the second period compared to 6. That's in game 3. Luckily, the Jets kind of came back in the third period, and they tallied 14 more shots in the third, while the Canadians had 8. But seriously, that is just absurd to even have those 7 and 6 numbers for each, for those periods. Like that's compared to 10 and 15. That's almost like that's a 9 shot difference, at least in the second period, from 6 to 15. That's ridiculous. You should not have those numbers there. And you look at game 4, same thing. 12 shots on goal for the first period for the Canadians compared to 7. 13 in the second period for the Canadians compared to 4. What's going on with the 9 shots on goal difference in the second period, in the third game and the fourth game? And same thing with the game 4 third period, 9 shots on goal difference with 5 for the Jets and 14 for the Canadians. That is just, that is not. And then when they go into overtime in that game, 0 shots on goal for the Jets, 3 for the Canadians. I mean, the Canadians just were on top of them in game 4. That was a very impressive game for them.
100%. I think you can track kind of the downfall of the Jets from that game 1 after the empty net goal. So first off, that's not a dirty hit. The internet and everyone can do whatever they want, can say whatever they want. That's not a dirty hit. Coming from a hockey player, that is a man trying to come back and prevent a goal.
Who, Scheifele?
Scheifele, 100%.
Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. He charged him, Preston. Did you watch the full clip?
I did watch the full clip. Here's what I'm going to say.
From the other side of the ice, literally just hype himself up and just bolt. Did you see that?
In that scenario, it is your second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You are down a goal.
He charged him. He charged. I'm sorry. That is a charge.
In the rule book of hockey, that is a charge, correct?
Yes.
But you think about it from his perspective and what's going on in the play. The puck is on the other end of the goddamn ice. You are the closest man to get back. What are you thinking? You're not thinking, oh, okay, let me slow down a little bit so I can hit him. No, I am running through you to try anything I can to prevent that goal from going in.
That's why he got suspended, though. So you know what? That is not an excuse. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for that. Seriously, it is a penalty. And you know what? I'm sorry, that should have led to a suspension. Seriously.
I think I don't even remember who got injured, but if he gets up after that hit, there's no discussion going on here. None whatsoever.
Did he get up? I don't think he got up. No, exactly.
So
it was Jake Evans, right?
Yeah, you're right. If he gets up after that hit and celebrates in the corner with his team, there's no discussion being had. There's no suspension giving out. This series is completely different. But because he's injured, I'll say, because he's injured on that play, they're obligated to give him something for that charge. And right then and there, as soon as your captain, Mark Scheifele, is gone, that's it. That's your series. You need a leader in the locker room along with Blake Wheeler to get your boys going and get your scoring going as well.
I mean, he's not even back yet. He's not even, I mean, shouldn't that tell you something, though, that guy was genuinely injured? Like I'm sorry, but Scheifele should have 100% been suspended, and he was. So I think he deserved that.
Here's my thing, though, is that if you can look at the hit like Dmitry Orlov in the first round of the playoffs on Kevin Miller, and you look at that hit, yeah, they were both out and they're both still out. But the fact that Dmitry Orlov got absolutely nothing for that hit.
Okay, yes, I agree with that. I know. I see that.
I'm just saying, it's just the officiating in these playoffs, especially this year, have been just terrible.
They've been
the only consistency is the inconsistency.
Yeah, seriously. No, they've been so inconsistent with what they're allowing and what they're not allowing. It's like the whole thing with the Lightning the other night. What was it? It was the goalie interference with I think it was Varlamov. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was not goalie interference. That was not goalie interference. When your defenseman pushes someone into your goalie, like the opposite team, if your defenseman pushes that opposing team into your goalie, that is not a power play. That is not a penalty for the other team because that person was pushed. That is the biggest BS I've ever seen. And
you can look back at the clip as well, and you can see he gives him the shove in the small of the back, and he wasn't ready for that shove, and he's accelerating even more now than he already was. He was flying for a loose puck. Yeah. And someone gives you a shove in the back and you're not ready to stop yourself already. You're going even faster than you were before, and you don't have that time to position yourself to stop.
No, you don't. And I think it was ridiculous that they gave them the power play and they even scored on that power play. That was just so upsetting to see. And I'm not even trying to be biased there. That was just some really big BS. So speaking of that, let's move on to round 3. We're not going to go into too much because obviously there isn't a lot that's been happening yet. I mean, we're into 3 games now at this point. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on between the New York Islanders and the Lightning. Do you have any words?
So I'm going to be honest here off the rip. I was still salty from getting beat. I have not watched a single game yet, but that will definitely be changing tonight. I need to start watching again because
I'm on the same boat.
I need me some hockey.
I've been observing some of the clips that I've seen on social media. That is really the only thing that I've really gotten, just because honestly, I mean, I think the only exciting, I mean, I don't know. I feel like these teams are a little, in my opinion, just boring. Like I know I straight up told my Islander friends, I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. You guys are gonna get your butts whooped. I really think that the Lightning are just gonna fly by these guys, and maybe got game 5. Right? They're not tied, right?
No, it's 2-1 Lightning.
Right. So I really think that I think the Lightning have a really good shot of just making this into game 5 or game 6. I really don't think there's going to be a game 7.
I agree with that. And I actually think New York is a decent matchup for Tampa in terms of the physicality, because they need guys who can go at Victor Hedman, who can go at let me just look at, because I think, is Anton Strawman still on this team? I'm not exactly sure, but let me just look up real quick. Yeah, you need guys to go after McDonough. You need guys to go after Savard, Hedman,
I forgot about McDonough.
You need people who can go after those guys consistently, and Islanders have those guys to do that. Right. So in terms of like an offensive forecheck to defense breakout matchup, I think it's really good. They cannot compare to the offense, though.
Right. No, I 100%
not a chance
agree.
that they can compare to Steven Stamkos, Kucherov, Yanni Gourde, Braden Point, Coleman, Gaudreau. Like, you just look at the list of guys on that team.
No, you can't.
There's nothing you can say other than they're just better.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I mean, you got Matt Barzal on the Islanders. You have Josh Bailey. You have Kyle Palmieri. But it's just Brock Nelson. I mean, he was very impressive round 2. But like, you cannot compare to those veterans on the Lightning. They have so much more experience than a lot of the Islanders players, including Vasilevsky, which has been pretty damn good in this playoff series so far, with an average of a 0.94% save percentage in this series so far. That's so far. But literally game 1, he got a 0.935. Game 2, he got a 0.923, sorry, and then a 0.964. While Varlamov was really good the first game with a 0.968. Game 2, he was a little iffy, and game 3, he was a little better, than, especially when it comes to looking at the game 2, 0.852 compared to 0.920. But just looking at the percentages, the average is a 0.94 for Vasilevsky and a 0.91 for Varlamov.
Yeah, they're just two great goalies battling it out. Vasilevsky is definitely more athletic, more obviously younger, more, I want to say positionally sound, as well as technically sound. Like, his mechanics within the goaltending world, which is something I've been paying attention to these playoffs, is who looks the best fundamentally. Yeah, dude, Vasilevsky just has everything to make the best goalie in the world, like a Carey Price. The reason people look at Carey Price in practices or in games sometimes and look at him and go, why does he look like he's trying? It's because he has all of those things down pat. Yeah. He's been practicing them for so long that at this point it is his second nature. Yeah. Same thing with Vasilevsky. He makes everything look so easy. Every save is effortless. Every puck goes into the right area. There's very few flaws you can see in Vasilevsky's game.
And not only that, though, you look at the shots on goal compared for each team. I mean, in the end, for game 1, it was 31-31 tied, and it was a very close game 1. It was 2-1. The Islanders got it. But then you look at game 2, and the Islanders started slacking a little bit. They had 26 shots on goal total, while the Lightning had 33. And Varlamov let 2 more shots in, and then the Islanders got, it was 4-2 Tampa Bay. Even game 3, the Islanders got 3-2. It was 3-2, right? Am I reading that wrong? I think it was the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 2-3. So 3-2 Lightning. And I really think that, like I said before, I think Tampa Bay can easily bring the series to an end pretty soon.
Yeah, and the shots on goal are definitely a telltale sign right there. It's even in the first game and the Islanders edge it out, but as soon as Tampa starts getting more shots, more offensive opportunities with their big guys, the more goals are just going to go in. It's really hard to stop guys like David Pastrnak and Nikita Kucherov consistently because they are just pure goal scorers. If you look back at that Bruins Islanders series, Pastrnak was scoring a lot of goals. Yes, he did have that nightmare miss that people are going to talk about for years to come.
Oh, dear.
But still, he is a pure goal scorer who is just tough to stop on a night-to-night basis, shot-to-shot basis. It's different. Every shot's different. They're never going to choose the same spot. So you have to react to them every single time. And that's never going to be easy for Varlamov.
Yeah, I agree. It's really just, I feel like you just look at the team's numbers. Like it's just, I think the Islanders have really showed their physical side. I mean, even just game 2 overall was a very physical game. I mean, game 1, the Islanders were not able to make any goals on the power play. The Lightning were able to get 1 out of the 2 that they got. Game 2 was just crazy. There were a total of 9 power plays that night. There were 4 for the Islanders and they got 1. And there were 5 total for the Lightning, and the Lightning were able to get 1. And then game 3, they had 0 goals for the power play, and there were 2 total, so 1 for each team. So far, just looking at the percentages, I mean, right now, I feel like, I mean, because of that 1 out of 2 for the game 1 power play, the Lightning are looking at a better percentage at 23%. But at the same time, it's just really showing how physical these two teams are.
100%. Kind of going back a little bit to the scoring of Nikita Kucherov, like he doesn't even need to score in this series to be completely effective. He's got 5 assists so far just in this series. 5 points in 3 games just in this series, all assists. That just shows that he's so much of a threat that when he dishes the puck, no one's ready for it. They're so hard focused on him and stopping what he's going to do that he can just dish it off and give someone an easy tap in goal. Yeah. And it's just crazy to see that he's like Braden Point as well has been stepping up with 3 goals in 3 of the games already. Yeah. Like these 2 guys are just big factors in
Victor
contributing
Hedman
to the offense. Yeah, Victor Hedman as well. He didn't have anything in the first game, but in the second and third, a goal and 2 assists. Like they're getting production from their big guys who need to produce in these playoffs.
Right.
And you look at the Islanders.
Nothing.
I mean, Beauvillier's got nothing. Josh Bailey has 1 assist. Kyle Palmieri has nothing. Brock Nelson has 1 goal. So it's Jordan Eberle and Matthew Barzal trying to carry the team right now. And those aren't guys who can.
No,
they need
can't.
That whole team to be working together as a unit.
And that's exactly what the Lightning are showing. They are showing true teamwork, and they're not relying. I mean, seriously. I mean, like I said before, it's Barzal. It's Eberle contributing, and then it's Varlamov. Those are the people to watch in this series, but that's all they have. You have Braden Point, you have Steven Stamkos, you have Victor Hedman, you have Nikita Kucherov, and you have Alex Killorn, and then you have Vasilevsky in net. That's just so much more dominant than literally the rest of the Islanders team. Like they're so much stronger. And even in game 3, those guys who we mentioned, Eberle, Barzal, they weren't able to produce anything. They had other guys doing that. They had the score was they had two goals in game 3, and it wasn't even the top guys who we've been mentioning. So that is not a good sign for the Islanders right now. And that's why I keep saying the Lightning are really showing their teamwork, and they're doing a magnificent job. And I think that's why they have a really good chance of winning a back-to-back Stanley Cup championship title.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think that's all I have to say about this series, at least.
Let's move on to
Okay.
let's move on to the Knights and the Canadians. This has been an interesting series with Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury, who both have some pretty decent playoff experience.
Pretty decent. Marc-Andre Fleury is a 3-time cup winner.
I know. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, whatever. So I'm gonna just take the lead here real quick.
Go ahead.
No one expects the Canadians to be here once again. That's just going to be the theme of pretty much the entire playoffs going forward from this point, is that no one expects the Canadians to be here. They have nothing to lose. I think Vegas definitely has everything to lose, and that's why you see Montreal winning the last 2 games, is because Vegas won the first one 4-1 against them, which is a big score line. So after they win that, I think it kind of put them in the mindset of how they were against the Avalanche. Because the Avalanche win 7-1, and they're thinking, oh, this is going to be a steamroll. We got them, boys. Like, this is ours. And Montreal comes back with a punch in the teeth. Is like, no, we're still here. We're still here to play hockey. We got our boy behind us in net. He's going to keep everything he can out. But we can do this. We can definitely beat this team. And I think they have a good chance. I think this is a very even matchup. Vegas is an extremely strong team. Don't get me wrong. They have a lot of very solid studs, just like the Lightning do. But I think Montreal matches them in terms of physicality and play style.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, again, look into the numbers. I mean, power plays are not huge factor. But again, the Knights are just like the Jets at this point. I mean, they have 0% scoring on the power play. You get those opportunities where you have you have the advance and you're not scoring on those. I mean, Montreal hasn't been too impressive either, but they haven't had as many chances. I mean, the Knights have had 10 opportunities to score on the power play in 3 games, and they just can't produce. I mean, that is not a great sign. Again, it's really, they're really struggling on that power play, just like the Canes did, and even the Jets. I mean, like we said, if you're not producing on that advancement, you need to look at your lines and figure something out and see what you can do, because that means that goalie is standing up tall. I mean, or that defense even. I mean, seriously, you look at Price. I mean, that guy's a freaking beast. So really he's standing tall in that net. He's not going to let anything through, even when you have the advancement there.
There's also the factor of Vegas has not had a good power play at all in these playoffs. If you look at the round 2 statistic for their power plays against the Avalanche, the Avs had a 42% chance of scoring on their power plays versus Vegas had 9.
And they still couldn't get it.
Yeah, which is absurd. Like, that just shows you how much the Knights are reliant on their 5-on-5 play and how good they are in 5-on-5 play.
Yeah.
Because their power play and their penalty kill are very lackluster, especially in these playoffs right now. If they can figure out one of the two, I think that gives them an even bigger shot at making it to the finals here and even possibly winning it.
I mean, you look at the numbers for specifically some players on the Knights. William Karlsson has 2 assists right now in the second or the third round, excuse me. And Shea Theodore has 2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist, only in game 1 where the Knights were able to get a win. And then Alex Pietrangelo, 2 goals in game 2. And then 1 goal in game 3. And then you look at, again, I mean, Cole Caulfield, he's very impressive right now. He's got 3 points, 2 goals, 1 assist in 3 games. That is a pretty damn good number for a rookie. I mean, seriously, this he's going places, and I don't think they want to get rid of him anytime soon.
Absolutely not. And the addition of Eric Stahl and Corey Perry have been huge in terms of their depth for playoff experience as well, because those 2 guys, Corey Perry has been doing really well. A guy who is very lackluster towards the end of his career in Anaheim has been picking it up with these Montreal Canadiens very well. 2 points in these 3 games so far is a great start. he's been rolling very well with Toffoli and Cole Caulfield as well. The Canadians, I think, are just hoping they get a little more production of Kotkaniemi because he has been a pretty decent player in the second round as well as the first round of these playoffs in getting some points for him. Yeah. But yeah, Cole Caulfield, he got that goal in his first game in the third round. And I think that just gave him a little confidence booster that, hey, I'm here. I can play. I can do this.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, the Dallas Stars were in the playoffs with Corey Perry last year, and he did produce a lot for them. He was one of the biggest stars on that team during the playoffs for the Dallas Stars. And it was awful to see that they weren't able to make it. But yeah, that was big. And now that he's with Montreal, I mean, he's continuing to produce. He may be 36 years old, but he's still going.
Boy, he still play.
Yeah.
He's still got that same Corey Perry grit that we saw in Anaheim. He's got everything that people hated about him that made him so good.
Yeah, I agree.
It's looking like it's going to be a very interesting series. I honestly have no idea who's going to pull it out right now. I'm feeling at least okay for the for Lightning Islanders series. I have to go with the Lightning.
Yeah,
they're just way too strong that I don't think the Islanders can grind it out like they usually do. But for this series, oh man, I want to say Knights in 7, but I really do think the Canadians have a good chance of even taking this in 6. If
I agree.
Gary Price keeps playing the same way.
The only thing is if that's the case, then the Lightning definitely have a big shot of winning that back-to-back title.
Yeah, I know. And I don't want the Stanley Cup final to be the most disappointing.
Right. And I don't either. But I have that feeling like if the Canadians pull through, will they be able to handle that kind of play style? I mean, they're dealing with the Knights right now. The Knights are a pretty physical team, but can they handle the Lightning? That's what we're gonna have to see. Do you have anything else to add?
Not really. Keep an eye on these series. They're going to be very interesting coming towards the end.
I agree. I think that's all we have for today. I think this was a very good discussion. And we'll see what happens for the rest of the series. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Later.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and for your support. If you enjoyed this episode and would love to see more content, feel free to follow us on Spotify at Face the Puck and on Instagram at Face the Puck News. Stay tuned for more episodes. See ya!